Hey there, I'm Connor, I'm Off the Cuff, and today I am talking to you about Hail Caesar, the latest movie from Joel and Ethan Coen, starring Josh Brolin, and a whole lot of other people, but it really stars Josh Brolin. It's about Josh Brolin as a studio head of Capitol Pictures. The biggest movie of the year is a movie called Hail Caesar, and the star of that movie, George Clooney, who plays Baird Whitlock, gets kidnapped and held for ransom. And there's a whole bunch of other stuff happening around this, as it's really kind of a day in the life story of this studio through the eyes of its studio head and fixer, Josh Brolin. So how is Hail Caesar? Well, I thought it started out great, and it kind of lost me as it went on. In the end, I think this movie is just kind of okay. But why? Well, I think first and foremost, Josh Brolin in this movie is excellent. He is seriously great. He's the glue that holds this whole thing together, and a lot of this works because a lot of it rests on his shoulders. He is great. His character is very likable. He brings a lot of nuance to it. There's a lot going on with him, and I don't want to spoil anything, but he's exceptional in the movie. I think a lot of the acting overall is really, really good. Not really anyone else has a whole lot to do, but they inhabit their roles with a lot of personality and a lot of excitement, and they're very entertaining to watch. I think the cinematography by Roger Deakins is peerless. It is exceptional. Deakins is a master behind the camera. He's the best cinematographer in the business. Everyone knows that, and his photography here is uniformly exceptional. It looks incredible. Words can't describe it. And all facets of production, for that matter, look amazing. The sets are crazy good. The costumes are nice. Really, really cool. Even like the backdrops of like a matte painting, they all look excellent. No other movie in the last couple of years really looks like this movie. Not quite as good as this movie. It's exceptional. And I thought this movie was funny. Really, really funny. It's not your typical punchline brand of humor that we're used to getting, but it is very funny. And if you get on the same wavelength as it, it is very, very humorous. And I think a lot of this works, especially if you're like me and you really like Golden Age cinema, you really like old Hollywood, classic Hollywood 1950s, you'll really get along with this, especially on all the different character parallels and who different characters kind of are a mirror for, and how this is kind of like an alternate universe history of Hollywood. All that stuff was really, really cool. So why did I not dig this movie as much as I wanted to? And it's really kind of down to how the pacing of this movie. This movie has great energy, but the pacing is very, very, very meandery. And the structure of this movie and its pacing really reminded me of Inherent Vice, the Paul Thomas Anderson movie from a couple years back. And I think this is a better movie, but it did really remind me of that, especially in how meandery it got. If you've seen that movie, you'll know what I'm talking about. And it is a very similar structure of how there's a central thread, but the movie does kind of get distracted and hung up on all these other side stories. The movie, I'll compare this to, say, Tarantino. Let's look at The Hateful Eight. The Hateful Eight is 3 hours long, and at first, a lot of long talking scenes that aren't really about anything. They're just there to flesh out the characters. And while it's continuously a talky movie, there's a point where that movie kind of stops being self-indulgent for a Tarantino movie and focuses up and kind of gets to the point. I feel like this movie doesn't really focus up and get to the point until the last 5 minutes. And I know what you're thinking. Well, it does get to the point. Yeah, but when it finally gets to the point, there is so much substance here. And this is where it gets frustrating. There is so much substance and themes that are rich for harvest here that I don't, that when it finally gets to the point, it doesn't have enough time to really let that stuff breathe. And it is there, it is, and you can really kind of dissect this, but the movie is not as much focused on that as it is with the style. And I don't want to call this style over substance, because there's plenty of substance and there's a lot of style. It's style and substance. I just wish the movie stopped enough to let the substance really breathe. But you know what? Other than that, it's directed very nicely. It has a great energy. Everything I've said before, all facets of production were exceptional. But in the end, I was left a little hollow. And I think that ultimately the core of the movie wasn't as whole as it should have been if you're going to dress it up this nicely. So in the end, after talking about it, and having it all out, I like this more in retrospect than actually watching it. So when I first watched it, I would have given it a 6. Now I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. A little disappointed, but it is worth watching. If you like the Coen brothers, check it out. You probably already have. But if you're just a regular moviegoer, I don't think you're really going to respond to this. But it's fine. It's all right. I think it's good solely based on its production element and some of the script elements. And Josh Brolin is seriously, seriously great in this movie. Anyways, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.